Hey gang, Uncle Todd and Sonny here. Hope you're keeping warm this frosty season. And we finally have the final season of Stranger Things. Boy, I've been waiting for this one. Well, after a brief recap of what everybody did and everything from last season, we get into this season where we open back in 1983, where Will was first taken to the Upside Down. And we see him being chased by a Gormagon and getting captured, and then taken to Vecna, who, using all those viney things, clamps one of them over his mouth and starts feeding him something, saying, "We are going to do such beautiful things together. Now it begins." Creepy. Well, then we jump to 1987, where, if you remember last season, the entire town got split open by the Upside Down. Well, it's been some time later. The military has moved in and they are basically quarantined in there. They can't leave, but supplies and stuff come in and out all the time. And the big crater got paved over. It went through the town, got paved over. And the military keeps a watch on it. Kids like to skate and slide on it because it's got a nice thing and it's concrete. So the military is constantly dealing with that. Now the Wheelers, they have the Byers have graciously allowed the Wheelers to stay there because nobody can go anywhere. Much to Mr. Byers' chagrin, because a lot of people in there, and it's just a big... I'm going to knock that over on you. It's just a big mess. Well, this is, of course, causing fights between the Mr. and Mrs. Wheeler. That and the fact that their youngest daughter, Holly, who's still in grade school, stop chewing on that. He is obsessed with chords. She's been having conversations with a person no one else can see. We can kind of see him, although in a blurry outline through a window or just like an arm or something. But this is concerning. She's, 10 or 11. She shouldn't be having these kinds of imaginary friends. Anyways, the local radio station is now run by Nancy Wheeler, and Robin is the DJ. Steve is her kind of producer thing. He runs around and puts all the sound effects in and broadcasts and stuff. Not sure what Jonathan Byers doing there, but he's part of the... Really? You going? Yeah, he's going by me. He's part of the team. Now, Dustin, if you remember, he's the electronics guy, so he's kind of the one that keeps everything running, but he's in high school. And during a broadcast, power goes all wonky, or the signal does. And Steve calls Dustin, but Dustin's like, "Man, I gotta go to school. Read the manual." So, Dustin gets to school where he's wearing his Hellfire Club shirt, which upsets the basketball team. You remember them. They were the ones who bullied Eddie, who ran the Hellfire Club, and he was blamed for a lot of the deaths that happened during the Upside Down eruption, for the missing kids and stuff, even though he had nothing to do with it, and actually worked to help save the town. So Dustin is bullied, and he gets his shirt ripped. So later, he takes one of the corn snakes from the lab, I think they're his even, because he talks to them, and puts it in the guy's locker. I'm sure, and embarrasses him because he freaks out. There's a snake in his locker, even though it's harmless. And gets laughed at. Well, that's not going to go down well. The military is hunting for 11, and they're not having much luck. They keep running down people they think are 11, but it's always turning out to be a burnout or someone else. I can't remember what they're calling them. Now, Dr. K, Linda Hamilton, needs her to complete the work she's doing. We see her dissecting something from the upside down. She's got other creatures and glass things and everything. Meanwhile, Nancy finally finds the manual. And they find that somebody's got to climb to the top of the tower to unplug and plug something in or something or other. So Steve and Jonathan, who are both, Jonathan is still with Nancy, but Steve wishes he still was, so there's this rivalry and one-upmanship between the two of them. They argue over who's going to climb all the way up to the top of that thing, and they end up both doing it. While they're doing that, Murray, you remember the big conspiracy guy? He handles deliveries around town to the military base that's holding everything, and not only does he drop off food at the station, he also drops off ammunition, electronics, and lets them know the military is going to be doing another burn. Now, when the military does a burn, I think I ran. Oh, battery's dead. I have to get that looked at. Anyway, when they do a burn, they get flamethrowers and they burn through part of the upside down membrane banner that separates the two worlds. And then they send in a convoy. Now, when they do that, our heroes, specifically Hopper, will stow away on one of the trucks they go through to search so that he can do his own search to find if Vecna is still dead or if he is not. Because he had shown Nancy a vision of what come to pass of him taking over their world from the upside down. Anyway, so once they get the signal fixed. Now, one of the things that they do is Hopper wants everyone to act like they comply with the military. So Robin, during her broadcast, is telling things like, don't do this, stay away from that. But that's not all she does. She puts on a recording of the Supremes upside down. And during the beginning of the song, she gives a brief history of Diana Ross, Motown. And certain keywords in the phrases are actually codes to everybody else. Our group, not everybody in town. About, there's burn, it's time to do another crawl. And, they figure out the time and the meeting and everything. Now, Elle has been training. She's getting herself fit, she's getting herself fast, and she's honing in her powers. Now, Hopper had made her a promise that if she got to a certain time, I think it's like 12:30 seconds on her run, she can go to the upside down with him on one of the crawls. She's convinced she did it, and he's saying, no, you didn't. You ran it 6 times, and you're telling me on the last time you were faster? No, you weren't. Turns out she was, and she was even actually under the 12:30. But As Joyce is with Will, he wants to keep her out of danger. Overprotective, which is causing friction between the two of them. Now, at school, oh, no, wait a minute. Everybody goes over their plans. Once they get the message, the kids all, luckily it's at lunchtime, so they leave the cafeteria, they go into the woods, and they start doing their planning, da-da-da-da-da. The station, they go down in the basement, and Nancy goes over the plan. She's kind of in charge. And don't argue with her. Steve does, but no. Anyway, during planning stages, Will starts to hear voices, and the sky starts to spin. And he almost falls over. Well, everybody's concerned about this, but it's not like it was before, you know? When he would connect with Vecna and the Upside Down. It's very strange. While that was happening, Holly was laying on a merry-go-round while her friend lazily spun her around, and she was looking up at the sky. That could be important. Also, she sees her friend again, and her teacher sees her talking to someone that isn't there. We know what that means. Parent-teacher conference. Anyway, after school, Mike goes to pick up Holly and finds his mom's already there talking to the teacher, and he talks to Holly, and he gives her something that he was planning for later. You see, he has a little D&D figure of himself, his character, who's brave. And he's always brave because he refers to his character, and so he gives her her character, a little cleric named Holly, so that she can be brave too. He's a good brother. Well, Dustin, before heading over to the station, goes to pay his respects to Eddie at the graveyard, as he does periodically. Finds it's been vandalized again. Also finds the corn snake killed. All the football or basketball players are there, or the key ones, the bullies. And Dustin, he does a pretty good job of fighting them off, but it's 1 against 4, and they are bigger than him. Although the main one gets his face splashed with some liquid that Dustin was carrying, and it stung. But he gets beat and kicked, and it's pretty bad. And that's why he doesn't show up at the meeting, and nobody knows where he is, but they've got to go, you know, on a time schedule. Well, part of the plan is that while Hopper is in the Upside Down, they follow him in the station van on the right side up. Well, Dustin's one who usually runs the antenna to lock on to Hopper and his signal. So, Wills, who helped him build it and install it, says he'll do it. Joyce says no. She has his older brother Jonathan do it. Oh, one last thing before we get into this, I forgot. I don't know why I take notes. I keep forgetting things anyways, if you remember Max from last season, she was in love with Lucas, and she was being sought by Vecna. She's still in a coma in the hospital. And Lucas and Will go to visit her, and they talk to her, and they play that Kate Bush song, Run Up the Hill. That's her favorite song, in hopes that it will bring her back to them. Will goes to get a drink, and he sees Robin at the hospital. And so he's like, hey. And she doesn't hear him, and she goes into a room where her girlfriend is. She has to break their date. This is the 80s, And being in a gay relationship was not something you could be open about back then, especially in a small town like this. So it's kind of clandestine, but she's promising to make it up to her. And Will hears them giggling, and he goes and he starts to open the door and then sees them kissing. And he kind of flips out a little, kind of shocked, drops his Coke can, which they hear, and then Robin sees him running off. Now, if you remember last season, Jonathan figured out Will was gay and in love with Mike. And seeing Robin is also gay, this might help him, I think, in a way, come to terms with his own sexuality. We'll have to wait and see. But Robin's like, oh no, we've been found. Anyways, everything is set up for the crawl, as they call it. And they've got their sector mapped out so that Hopper can go check it. Hopper's got weapons just in case. And then we get to see the burn, where they bring in 2 flamethrowers, burn that section open. Trucks go in. When the all clear is given over their walkie-talkies, Hopper tops in to one of the trucks, usually the last one, and goes in there with them. All's going smoothly. Jonathan gets the tracks on the signal. They're driving along. And then the lead car jams to a stop, which causes a bit of a little pileup, although Hopper's truck doesn't get smashed. And then Will connects with a Gormagon. And it sees through his eyes as it attacks the soldiers and just eviscerates them. This is getting bad. The driver of Hopper's truck, well, too much for him, he's heading out, but Gormagon catches the truck and kills the driver, which then causes the truck to crash. Now, Hopper is stuck there, alone. While this was happening, all the power at the station went out. They lose the signal in the truck. They lose power in the station. No connection. Although Joyce does manage to bring Will back from the other side. And what he saw was that the Gormagon in the Upside Down was heading for the Wheeler's house, which he tells Nancy. Well, he tells everybody, but Nancy and Elle say, well, we'll take care of it. And they head out, telling Robin, if the power comes back up, call her parents and tell them to get everybody out. Now, the Wheelers have been arguing with each other about Holly. Father's a bit laissez-faire about the whole thing. Mother's angry at him because he doesn't seem to take anything that seriously, and he's just and it's just causing Holly some emotional pain because she's overhearing this. And we all know what pain does. And so as we end the episode, the Gormagon is breaking through the Upside Down through Holly's ceiling in her bedroom. Ooh. Yeah. Fairly good opener for this season. A little slow until you get to like the last third because we're setting stages and everybody's got this and that. And this is what happened to this person and that person. So it's a little slow, but very intriguing. And I'm wondering about the connection between Holly and this imaginary friend she has. And I love the fact that they have their own radio station. And major concern for Dustin because, his processing of Eddie's death, he was very close to and looked up to, and he's very much turning into another Eddie. He's got long hair. He's got he's wearing the shirt. And he's wearing rings, and he's gone all metal with his attitude. So he's basically in a lot of pain. Everybody around him doesn't seem to know how to handle it, and they're doing the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do, which is just get over it, keep a low profile, and he's getting angrier, and so we're going to see how that works out. But yeah, good season opener. A little slow, but great ending. You got Hopper trapped in the Upside Down. You got Gormagon coming after Holly, and still that opening. They could come through at any time. So looking forward to the next episode. Please hit like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.